In a Double Dragon, the big baddie bad guy decided that he liked your girlfriend quite a bit and wanted to try to make her his by kidnapping her and over time persuade her that he wasn't actually all that mean. It was just on the surface he was pretending to be a naughty little boy. But you didn't really want to share your girlfriend with the big baddie bad guy, so you grabbed hold of your brother and said, "Come on, brother, let's kick some big baddie bad guy behind." And your brother said, "Oh, sure thing." And off you went and kicked some big baddie bad guy behind rather badly, so it was badly bruised. A few years later, after having recovered from the bruised backside, the bad guy decided that enough was enough. He couldn't have your girlfriend, neither should you. So he decided to introduce her to the business end of his machine gun. Obviously she wasn't overly prepared for such a treatment, so she keeled over rather dead. It's not something you see in this version of Double Dragon 2, but it is definitely something that has a visual reference in most other versions. I'm not entirely sure whether the developers were told to omit that sequence for being excessively violent or whatever the reason was. It is not important, it is not something that I feel is something that goes against the game, that I don't see that sequence. It is just a strange thing that it is present in most other versions. So, according to my math teacher, 2 times 2 equals 4. So, because this is a Double Dragon 2, the question is, should it be called Quadruple Dragon? Good question, eh? Never mind. You grabbed hold of your brother again and said, "Yo, bro, this time we gotta do something." And your brother was saying, sure, whatever. So you decided to go out with your brother yet again to find the same big baddie, a bad guy from the first Double Dragon, and this time make sure that his behind was a lot more than just bruised. The brother is present on screen at the moment, you just can't see him. I think he must be having a bathroom break. So, after that very funky introduction to a Double Dragon 2, time to talk the differences between Double Dragon 2 and Double Dragon. The first game was definitely on the Amiga, not arcade perfect in any way, shape or form. I don't think anyone would ever make that argument. Double Dragon 2 is far closer to its arcade original, and the sound design is probably of a higher quality. It's also got some very, very unnecessary annoying sounds like it's funny to listen to after a while. But the updated graphics, or the more accurate graphics, seems to have come at a cost. On the humble Amiga 500, 3 or 4 sprites, or enemy sprites on the screen, seem to cause the system to start tanking. In my opinion, unnecessarily. But what do I know about optimization? The gameplay is the same. I mean, these beat 'em ups are very, very similar. It's how they are presented, how cool they feel to play when you are beating up the bad guys. In this game you have this jumping, spinning kick thing, and I'm fairly sure you traded that for your headbutt in the first game. And while the jumping, spinning kick thing has an area of effect component added to it, The enemies in this game are very, very good at knocking you out of the air when you're trying to do jump kicks, so it's not necessarily wise to rely on that move. On the Commodore 64 version of this game, you can basically spin to win, but not in this version. Could be mistaken, but I also think it costs you a touch of health to actually use that move, like in many other beat 'em ups, like Final Fight, where using your super special moves will actually hurt yourself. I could be mistaken, but regardless, the gameplay is the same. Newer versions of the same areas, newer versions of the same enemies, some new enemies, but it's Double Dragon, what can I say? And I have to admit that while technically this is the better game, I still think I prefer the first one. Even on the Amiga, the Commodore 64 version is barely a game, but the Amiga version is still quite playable and quite enjoyable, especially when you're playing two. This game could... I'm recording these videos alone, so I couldn't test it, but it will most likely be a better game playing two as well, but considering how the game tanks with a handful of sprites, that might actually also be a factor adding extra drain on the system. And the fact that it slows down as much as it actually does, I find to be a very, very jarring experience. On top of that, of course, the fact that it just... The first game I found enjoyable because it was a bit silly. The sprites and everything was a bit creatively interpreted, and that, in my opinion, added to the enjoyment factor of the original game. Feel free to disagree, I'm perfectly fine with that, but yeah, conclusion, it's not bad, but it's not amazing either, and I still prefer the first Double Dragon, by and large. So, on that note, I'm going to say thanks for watching, take care, and see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.